I used to think it meant that we had freedom of speech, that we could be anybody we wanted to be. We didn't have to conform to a religious ideology, or that we had enough cultures in this one country that we could identify with any of them without recourse. But now I don't think that's true. I think that was a myth.
Every little kid is taught that they shouldn't talk to strangers. I mean, do you talk to strangers? How do you know if a stranger is worth speaking to? Hey kid, don't talk to strangers. Where's my daughter at? I'm gonna go get my daughter in here in a minute and tell her she's 3 weeks old, but she needs to know this.
The freedom to say what I want and sometimes be wrong. The freedom to go where I want and sometimes be wrong in that too. I think part of the modern myth of humans is that we somehow have the answers, that we somehow know more than we really know, and that we're responsible to know the answers. I think without being wrong, we can't learn, we can't grow, but if we live in a society where being wrong in and of itself is a sin, then I don't know where we go from there. And somehow we've put that on people that, like, you're not allowed to be wrong. And people are constantly hiding their mistakes and trying to cover up for their mistakes. Oh man, I think people would feel really hurt. You know, I'm lucky that I've bridged a lot of communities and cultures. I have half of my family's from the Deep South, where it's like people will be so polite to your face and so nice to you, and the whole time they're thinking like really mean things about you. I think if we took all the masks off, all of the, like, I don't think we know how to fight for the things we believe in. And I don't mean physically, I mean to debate them, to speak to each other, and to actually engage someone who believes in something different from you and bring them around to your side through a good argument based on facts and knowledge and feeling and emotion, all the things that go into changing someone's mind. I think we've lost that art. And instead all we have is, I'll give you platitudes and I won't be honest with you. An opinion is a malleable thing. And I might have grown up with one opinion because my parents taught me one thing, but when I become an adult and go out in the world and experience things different from what they experienced, I might change my opinions. I might also change my religion. I might change a lot of things about myself when I go out in the world. And it's on my shoulders to state my own feelings, thoughts, opinions about any given situation. Setting aside the man for 1 minute, I think that his ascendancy to the presidency of America has endangered everything I love about this country. And I believe that to the bottom of my soul. And it's not just him as a man, it's all of his enablers, it's all of the people who believe that he is the right choice to bring this country back to some ideal place that was always horrible for a huge number of people who live in this country. The fact that that's what we've chosen.
Freedom is not a gift from government. Freedom is a gift from God.
He's an egotistical child that it's like, in a normal world, no one would pay attention to him. When I lived in New York City and as growing up, and he was like this guy who was in the news all the time, no one paid attention to him. He was like page 6 rumor shit. He wasn't someone that people took seriously.
It was Thomas Jefferson who said, "The God who gave us life gave us liberty." Our founding fathers believed that religious liberty was so fundamental that they enshrined it in the very First Amendment of our great and beloved Constitution.
Grab him by the pussy. Grab him by the pussy. Grab him by the pussy.
I don't know. You know, I was molested as a really young child by a neighbor, and it went on for months. And by the time my mom figured out what was going on, it had been going on for a long time. She went to my father, and for a whole bunch of reasons, he was unable to deal with it. We went to the police. The police said, you don't want to press charges because your 7-year-old daughter is going to have to testify. And this was the 70s. It was a different time. But the reality, and what I found out as an adult, is that that man molested every girl in that neighborhood. And that if my family had taken action, we could have stopped it for a whole lot of kids, and we didn't. So I don't know. And I've always felt like, oh, the times have changed. That I always felt once we got to the 90s, I was like, people are talking about it. And I know people are talking about it a lot more now, but even in the 90s, the fact that people were talking about child abuse at all, or the sexual abuse of children, was like a revelation for me. I was like, oh my God, the world has changed so much that if this happened now, it wouldn't go like that. And this Me Too movement has proven all of that wrong. All of that wrong. I thought we had already come so far, and then you find out that we haven't come even a tiny bit close enough.
Breaking news, former Stanford swimmer Brock Turner released from prison. He served 3 months of his 6-month sentence for sexually assaulting an unconscious woman.
And then we take action against like 1 or 2 bad players and say, we've done our jobs, and now we fixed it. Or we change the law to say, you know what, if you rape a child, you're going to go to jail for 7 years instead of 18 months. That's not enough. Obviously, it's not enough. But when leaders do that, they feel like they've done enough. Personally, seeing flaws and having the strength to change them, that's hard. It's really hard. On a greater, like, societal, I think it's probably the same. When we think about the revolutions that we've undergone in the past, I was watching some of the footage of the pieces you've created already, and watching the footage of Bloody Sunday, and watching the footage of so many of the things that you've woven into these interviews, and how painful those times were, and how we're not done. We're so far from done. And people, I think when Barack Obama was elected, everyone was like, we did it. Like the civil rights movement is now suddenly, we've somehow like finished. We have to change what we're teaching our kids. We have to. We need to teach them the truth. I mean, we are not honest about the history of this country in the schools, and we need to be. The facts are slavery. The facts are Jim Crow. The facts are that we do not have equality in this country. The facts are that anybody who's not male, white, and privileged don't have a firm footing in this country. They just don't. But when I look at people, I'm like, no, you can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps because you have no fucking boots. Because society won't give you any boots. So now everyone has to be a warrior. Everyone has to be a warrior, and that's really hard. And it's really hard when you've got kids, and it's really hard when you've got a mortgage and bills, or you just got to pay rent, and your house is too expensive, and your car broke down, and you can't get to work, and your boss is pissed off. So now they're going to lay you off. So now you're looking for another job. Oh, and guess what? I have a record because I did something really stupid when I was 19. And so now I can't get a job except at Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm trying to go to college, but I can't get to the college because there's no public transportation. So now I'm like relying on rides from people. But, then I had a fight with my girlfriend. So now she won't give me a ride anymore. So now I'm trying to find a sitter. And it's really hard. So those boots, it's not real. And we're not offering people real help. And now, the federal government is taking away SNAP and, other things that help people get out of bad situations. And we're going to give people less help?
The nays are 49. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, as amended, is passed.
I think social media has drawn more of a wedge, not less. I think we think we're sharing all the time. I think we really think we're opening up. We're posting things online that are really personal and really deep. And it's all at an arm's length. You don't have to look the person who's reading it in the eye and say, here's why I said that. And here's why it matters. You know, you're just throwing it out there and everyone's saying, oh, I'm really sorry that happened to you. And then that's enough, like that somehow that's enough. Like to say, wow, I'm really sorry that the legacy of slavery has kept you and your generations of your entire family down and that the education system has never given you an opportunity. I'm really sorry about that. But I don't have to change anything. I don't have to do anything to make it different.
Collusion.
It's more than collusion.
Everyone, we didn't do anything.
We know.
We put our hands in the air, we knew our rights, and we followed procedure. As following procedure, he bared arms. Not one shot, not two shots, not three, not four, but 5 shots. And not Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Every single life out here matters. No matter the color, the race, the nationality, we all deserve to be heard.
Wait by the water, don't take the pathway home. It's not much farther than you can better go tonight and end inside. So wait by the water, don't take the pathway home. You lost a father, I lost my favorite son. Rallied much longer than thought by anyone I know. You had to go, but I wanted longer. You were my chosen one. Here, just stay right here. Don't hide your eyes. I want to see you understand me up and by your side. Stay next to mine. Stay on the ride.
I think it's very hard for children who were raised in extreme isolation by, you know, people who were like that family of all those kids who were kept in that house for all those years. On the other hand, they had each other. And I think that, you know, it's like there have been instances of children who were kept alone, completely isolated. And, you know, we do that to kids in prisons and keep them in isolation. And I think that can kill love. And I think it's really hard to come back from that. But I think it's possible. I believe it's possible, but it's really hard. You know, it's mythical. It's you know, and I think it goes back to Zeus and the early Greek gods. And, you know, I mean, it goes way back. And I think humanity, I think we've always been on this, like, edge of not surviving. And that, you know, you have to be, you know, you have to go hunt for your food, and you have to, I mean, it's persistent. That's what it takes to survive. The fact that we no longer have to do that and that we can just go to a supermarket doesn't erase it from our genetic makeup. You know, and I think it's a convenient myth for marketing, and, you know, it's something easy to tie into because it's in our genetic makeup that, you know, sort of like if I can just be tough and strong and stand up by myself and not need anybody, you know, that's something to strive for. I think it's in our genes. I think compassion is understanding that it's not just you, and it's understanding what someone else might be feeling and having room for that and wanting to nurture that, and not just on your own agenda either. You know, it's like, oh, I can see that you need something. It might not be what I wish for you, but I can see that that's what you need, so I'm going to try to give you that. I'm going to try to support you in the place that you're at, not where I want you to be. Community is, to me, a group of people who've come together just to survive, really. Earliest civilizations wouldn't have come together and grown into this crazy complex world that we have without human beings bonding on an emotional level. You know, it's not just about survival. I think that the arts need the room to blossom because so much discourse happens in the arts, and that we're able to, through the arts, approach really hard subjects in ways that are safer somehow for people, because there's a distance, there's someone else created it, so I can watch, I can feel, I can engage, but that they have agency, that their choices are their choices, and that they don't have to listen to everybody else, and that their choices matter, their voices matter, and they can change things. I know that injustice is real, and I know that it can be fixed. I know that sunlight is precious, and that it is not a given. It's not going to be there forever.